What up? What up? Welcome to Recovery Rockstars Uncut. I'm your host, Kevin Z. And on this episode, I sit down with MJ Gottlieb, the co-founder and CEO at Loosid App. We talk about Loosid, an awesome app created for those who choose to live a sober lifestyle. And MJ shares about his struggles with addiction and how he got and continues to stay sober. Hope you enjoy this episode and make sure to go download the Loosid app today. And now, let's get into the show.
Welcome to Recovery Rockstars Uncut, uniting the recovery community with raw and real stories. Your host, Kevin Z, puts the light on people and brands that are rocking the recovery lifestyle. So you want to be a rock superstar? RecoveryRockstars.com. Now, here's Kevin.
And MJ, I gotta say that you're the absolute man. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Welcome to the Uncut Podcast.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here.
You know, so I want to tell you, I was totally going down the rabbit hole for your press kit, and I am very impressed of all the press that you're getting, which means one thing. You're changing lives, dude. You're making a difference. You were the founder of the Loosid app. Tell me, what is the Loosid app?
Yeah, co-founder. So Loosid is a community of about 168,000 people in sobriety. It's it's bifurcated between a community and then sober dating. For the first several years, we just grew the community, built both because two pain points: one addict connecting with another addict, and then the other was there's very strong challenges with regard to providing a safe and supportive environment for people who are single and sober and getting pressure to drink on the other side of the table. So we built a sober dating, somewhat sat on it because rolling out dating is a very strategic and expensive proposition. And so when COVID happened, we couldn't support the growth of both the community and the dating, but April 28th, we launched dating in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas and have about new 33,000 fresh members in the Los Angeles and surrounding areas.
That's fantastic. And it's really interesting. You know, I was listening to you on a couple different podcasts, and there seemed to be a common theme that when people get sober, they're no longer going to have fun. And I think it's hard for somebody who is in sobriety being on a regular dating app, you know, and they find somebody that they think they're going to connect with. And the first thing it seems like to me, hey, let's meet for coffee or for drinks. And then as soon as somebody says, well, you know, unfortunately, I don't drink, I'm sober. A lot of people, you know, want to be with other people that they believe is quote unquote fun. And they want to go out and they want to have drinks. Yep. So it's a beautiful thing that you've created this app where people aren't getting that resistance. So talk about that process.
Well, you know, what's interesting is the only person on the planet who's sober that is not allowed to use Loosid, mandated by me, is me.
Huh.
That's kind of the irony of it. Me being a single man, you know, I set up my profile. So there's a community profile and there's a dating profile. And I set up the community profile, or I should say the dating profile, just to let people know, hey, if anybody, you know, needs anything, I'm here to sit. And then suddenly it was like, oh, the CEO of Loosid is using his own app. I was like, stop.
Just stop.
And now I'm not. Stop. Leave me alone. But yeah, you know, so I got to get on the frickin' Bumbles and the Hinges and deal with the knuckleheads trying to push me to drink. But in all seriousness, it is something that I've had countless friends who have relapsed because of it, because of the pressure to drink. You know, I happen to be a heterosexual man, right? The woman would invariably say, oh my God, you don't drink. Are we going to have any fun? Why don't you just have one drink? You know, being that recovery is my vocation and my avocation, like I'm pretty secure in my sobriety. But, you know, if I think about if I didn't have Loosid, if I didn't work with other sober people, if I was a little bit distant from 12-step program, you know, they say there is a point in every alcoholic's or addict's life that they're going to think, you know, maybe I can drink or drug in moderation. So, you know, it's something very important, and it's something that I'm painfully identify with.
Yeah. And what I love about the app is you've got the two components, like you said. So you've got the dating side of it where you can connect with like-minded people. to try to spark that relationship. And then secondly, you've got the community side, which offers a ton of valuable resources. Talk to us about some of those resources that you offer on the community side. So there's videos, there's podcasts, there's, sober highlights. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. We think about it from the standpoint of in recovery, what we focus on. So we have a sober tip of the day that gets sent out to every Loosid member. Should they have their notifications turned on every morning. Every afternoon, there's a daily gratitude that just reminds people to post their daily gratitude. So daily gratitude is probably the biggest part of Loosid, because if you focus on the problems increase. If you focus on the solutions, the solution increases. The same way, if you focus on the negativity, you could put yourself into a really bad place. But if you start your day and what you're grateful for, it puts you in a good place. So we create all these kind of tools, learning tools as well. Yeah, I do. I put the microphone on other people, meaning I speak and have talks with same type of people you speak with, right? Yeah. And sober celebrities, trauma therapists, CEOs of treatment centers, people with crazy, insane stories, people with foundations and sober businesses and sober authors and all of that. So yeah, the opposite of addiction is connection. We want to give them the tools and resources to support their growth.
Yeah. And tell me about your story. So you have been sober since 2012, is that correct?
Yeah, March 21st, 2012.
What'd you struggle with?
I struggled with, what do you got? Yeah, alcohol, cocaine, pills. What do you got? I never did heroin because I didn't like needles, but I whatever could take me away. But I never knew what I drank. I went into the same bar every night. I said, the bartender's name was Bobby. I said, Bobby, make me the biggest, strongest drink you've ever made in your fucking life, and put it in the biggest fucking glass you could find. And I have no idea to this day what was in any drink. And then I would have an 8-ball of cocaine delivered to the table. That was the glamorous part. The end of it was me, no money, walking on the streets with an army jacket with 100 pockets with airplane bottles, in as many pockets as I can fit, because I didn't have any money left. So I would scrounge change and then buy airplane bottles at the liquor store, literally couch change. And then it got to the point that I had no more couch change. So I would go to my neighbor every day. At that point, I was like George Costanza, living with my parents. I lost everything, right? And if I didn't have a home to go to, then I would have just been, homeless, right? Which is kind of interesting, being that I shot a homeless documentary for many, many years. And so I went to my mother and father's neighbor every day, and I said, "Oh, Francis, I can't believe I lost my wallet. Do you have $20?" And I did that every single day. I didn't realize until years later, when I made amends, that I went to the neighbor's house every single day and said, "I lost my wallet. Do you have $20?" The way the math worked out was, because happy hour was at whatever time it was, 4 p.m., half price drinks. I could get 5 drinks just to kind of calm my nerves. And so I'd get 5 drinks at the bar, and then I'd tell the bartender, "Oh my God, I only brought a 20. I'll hit you tomorrow." And I told him every day for a year, "Oh my God, same shit." It's like we're pieces of shit when we drink. I didn't say that. I was having a conversation with someone today. We're not bad people trying to get better. We're sick people trying to get well. So there was nothing inherently wrong with me. Alcoholism is a disease and has been diagnosed as a disease since 1956. But, I was just a sick person that needed to get well.
Did you ever pay Frances back?
I offered it, and she said, "Oh, Michael, I just always wanted you to be happy." That's what she said. So, wow. Because probably the reason why you're asked that in 12-step programs is, what do we got? What do I got to do to make it right? She's like, "I'm just glad you're happy." She's like, "Don't worry about it." And that's the interesting thing is, with the men's is you normally think it's going to be bad, and you're very surprised that they seem to work themselves out.
Yeah. How many years were you in active addiction?
I mean, I was drinking since I went to a house party when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I didn't stop. So I guess then until 41 years old. But my problem was, I mean, I'm an alcoholic, but yeah, I was what in page 21 of the big book, they talk about the Jekyll and Hyde personality, which is what I was. So I'd be at the bar and I'd drink, and once I passed a certain point, I just turned into an animal, and I picked fights, with the biggest dude in the bar, and it just got really super, super ugly, consistently.
Just went to the dark side, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it explains it so well in the big book, like Jekyll and Hyde, and there'd be people who would, and there was a switch in me, like there's a literal switch in me that I would turn into a monster. And so I didn't realize they used to place two guys in back of me. I thought it was because I was important. This is like, idiotic. And but what would they would say, oh, how many drinks is MJ up to? Well, I had like 7 or 8. Okay, he's starting to turn. We'll start watering down his drinks, give him some food. Like there was a whole plan by the bar of how they were going to deal with me and take my money at the same time.
Wow. What about family? Did they understand the depths of your addiction?
No.
You hid it well?
No, I didn't hide it well at all. I always had a bag of cocaine in my hand. But it's like, I mean, my parents, my father, rest in peace. But it's like, I remember when I was a kid, and my mother found weed in my frickin' pocket, and she's like, "Is this marijuana?" And I said, it was like, seeds, it's like when they had seeds in weed. And I was like, "No, Mom, it's oregano, for science class." And she was like, "That's what I thought," so, there's a saying, those amongst us, no explanation is necessary. Those not amongst us, no explanation is possible. Yeah. She's still to this day, just, did you really ever do cocaine? 7 days a week, Mom? I don't want to hear that. I'm like, you asked the fucking question.
Yeah, don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
Yeah,
you guys pretty tight?
Yeah, we're absolutely. But addiction is addiction, and luckily I was able to make my amends. To my father, to my mother, my siblings?
Sister.
Yeah.
I said siblings, but you said sister. So yeah, are you guys tight?
Yeah. I mean, she's in Westchester with my 4 crazy nephews now, but yeah, it got pretty bad. I mean, that's the reason why I'm sober. I was babysitting the 5-year-old kid of an ex-girlfriend of mine, and the thought of putting that kid in harm, I couldn't look myself in the mirror anymore. So like, that's what got me sober. I didn't care about myself. I'd been in the intensive care unit 2 months before that.
What happened with the 5-year-old?
I passed out, and the thought of, so she left me, she had to go to some party or something and asked me to babysit. And she was a big drinker too. I'm not going to lie. She left I think I went through 3 or 4 bottles of Prosecco, whatever she had in the refrigerator. I took it and passed out. And the thought of putting a 5-year-old in jeopardy, I was done. I was done. I didn't even go. I don't even think I went to do meetings the first like 100 days because I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Like, I was that mortified. I didn't care about myself. The fact that I put a kid in jeopardy, I couldn't even look in the mirror.
So then that night was the last time you had a drink?
Yeah. Wow.
So eventually, you said the first 120 days you didn't go to AA, but eventually you did?
Yeah, I don't know if it was 90, 80, or 100, but I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and couldn't really speak. Really, I was so embarrassed as a human being. Yeah. That and then I finally crawled down into the basement of Citigroup, which is a 12-step meeting in New York, and put my hands in the air and said the three words that no addict wants to say. I need help. How does this shit work? I knew how. Well, I was told how it worked, but I never wanted to work it. So the kind of interesting kind of spin on that is so I was asking for a sponsor, and I got a call that night from the sponsorship coordinator. Said, I have good news and bad news. The good news is I found you a sponsor. The bad news is he's not going to take any of your shit, and we all know you're full of shit. And that was a rough ass sponsor. I mean, he was like a blue collar iron worker, didn't take any shit. But that's exactly what I needed.
What you needed.
I could have dealt with a soft sponsor, not my condition.
Yeah. So for somebody who is struggling right now, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
Well, I mean, I think that I was speaking to some people today, a group of people, and I think the whole thing is for people that need to understand it's okay not to be okay. Like we seem to think that we have a problem with stigmas of addiction that exists that prevents us from getting the help we need because we think that there's something the matter with us. We have a disease. The same way that you have diabetes, you have alcoholism, and it's been diagnosed as disease since 1956. Yet nobody seems to fucking talk about that.
Yeah.
And so my advice would be to understand that, like in the same way that if you have diabetes, you don't have sugar, right? Like, if you have the disease of alcoholism, you got to do whatever that treatment is. And the treatment that's been working for the most part has been around since 1935.
Yeah. Well, let's bring it back to Loosid. So first of all, how'd you come up with this idea?
I was advising my now business partner on acquisitions to treatment centers. Her family has been ravaged by heroin addiction, just absolutely ravaged. And so she was trying to figure out a way to ease the suffering and be able to, take control of something in recovery. And with 300 million people, over 300 million people in aggregate suffering from addiction, from alcohol use alone, not to mention about 38%. I think the stats are 38% back in 2017, these statistics, 38% of American adults are suffering from some illicit drug use. I was like, what are we doing? Like, even if we open up 1,000 centers and help 100,000 people, how is that really going to make a difference? So why don't we take the whole community and put them together in one place with everything, with one thing that everybody has, which is a phone. So I had owned agencies. After owning fashion brands, I owned agents. I had owned and operated agencies leveraging digital, the power of digital, and taking people brick and mortar and showing them how to move things digitally. That's what we did with Loosid, and we started bringing the community together.
What is the vision, the goal over the next few years? Where do you see this going?
Well, I mean, the goal is a very selfish one. The goal is to have the largest, with the largest voice in the space, so we can create change. Because I have to have 1 million conversations with people to talk up and we try to educate people about alcoholism and addiction. And great, we're 168,000 members, great. But I mean, it's great. It's better than 167,000, right? Yeah. But it's if there's over 500 million people in aggregate, my goal is to have the platform have 500 million people and be able to have a voice to create change. Because right now everybody thinks that, as you said, sobriety is going to be the end of fun. There's something the matter with me, shame, guilt, all this bullshit. And people are dying, left and right over it. And there's massive issues with fentanyl. There's massive issues with fentanyl poisoning, fentanyl overdoses, tranq. I mean, and so I want to have the biggest megaphone so that when we speak or we bring people on the platform to speak the truth of alcoholism and addiction, people hear it, because people are hearing the wrong message. My PR team hates me because, a lot of times whoever it is will say, like the big media
Mm-hmm.
says, well, we'd like to speak to a doctor at Loosid because we need someone with a fucking title, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is the problem with addiction. Like, my doctor told me, I don't understand addiction. I've been doing this for 60 years. I don't understand addiction.
Yeah.
I don't understand alcoholism. If you want to have an alcoholic help, you speak to another alcoholic, period. End of sentence.
Yep.
So it's like, the biggest people with the biggest voice, they want to speak to doctors. And actually, if you think about it, and I was talking about this today, and this is very true, the most popular doctor in the world is the reason why 12-step programs are in existence, because Carl Jung, who is the top psychiatrist in the world, was working with an alcoholic and said, Jesus, I can't fucking help you. But apparently, here's this group of people who are helping one another. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I can't help you. And that the later turned into what we know as Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we owe the majority of our recovery to the fact that doctors admitted that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm saying that with love because it's because of them, and it says it in the big book. We owe it to the theologians, if that's how you pronounce it, and the doctors. We thank them because we wouldn't be around if it wasn't for them. They said, hey, we can't figure this out, but you guys somehow are. So the doctors deserve all the credit, not for giving the answers, but for admitting they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Well, I mean, if you go inside the app and go onto the community pages, everybody's giving help. Everybody who has experienced it and are going through it, those are the ones who are teaching and learning from each other. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. For big media, nobody wants to listen to a doctor anyways. Sorry. For big media, it would be more thrilling for me to hear from somebody who is in recovery or you.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, it's killing people. And so, they like trends, they like sober October, they like dry January, but they don't really want to get into the meat of it.
Well, so when are you going to start throwing some events, some dating events?
So
there's your PR angle, right?
Yeah. I mean, we just came off of actually an event in Los Angeles, but that was Rock to Recovery, which is Wes Geer from Rock to Recovery. He has an amazing fucking event and out in Los Angeles. So we were promoting Loosid there, and we were the title sponsor there. But yeah, we're looking to throw a bunch of events, and we were doing a bunch prior to COVID, and we're looking to do more events now that we opened up the Los Angeles market. Definitely.
Nice. Well, I'm right down the street, so if you need help, let me know. Let's get that name out there. Let's get that 168,000 to the 5 million, and then some.
That's right. Amen.
Well, MJ, I appreciate and applaud what you're doing. You're definitely making a difference, and just seeing the press and talking to you and listening to you could tell that you're very passionate about helping others. And if somebody wants to connect with you or download the app, how can they do that?
You can go to loosidapp.com, LOOS like Sam, ID like David, APP like application.com. Or you can go into the App Store and just put in Loosid, LOOSID. You could download Loosid with the community app, Loosid dating app, and if someone wants to connect with me, MJ at loosidapp.com.
All right, man. And what about that merch? Can people buy the merch? You got some cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I print all this stuff up, and then it goes as quickly as we print it. But people have been asking us to put it up on the website, so that's probably something we're going to do maybe wrap it around some initiative.
Love it, man. Love it. You guys go download the Loosid app. MJ, appreciate your time. Much respect. And again, keep on sending us anything you're doing. Let us know. We'll help promote it.
All right. Well, thanks a million. And I appreciate what you're doing to spread the word.
Thanks, brother. We will talk soon.
Okay. Have a good one.
Thanks for being in recovery, rock stars. I guess today's episode is done. In all seriousness, though, Kevin appreciates you being part of this community. RecoveryRockstars.com. Want to email us? Kevin@RecoveryRockstars.com. Facebook, Recovery Rockstars. Instagram us @RecoveryRockstars. Kevin's wardrobe brought to you by Kevin. Kevin's transportation brought to you by Kevin. Kevin's cable bill paid by Kevin so he can keep this podcast going. Goodbye.